everyone, it's April here and welcome back to another video. This week I've got an idea that I've had on my mind for probably 6 months or so, and it is to draw one image with 5 different mediums to see how they look in different mediums and also which I prefer. So I decided to start with Procreate first, probably because I was sleepy and I wanted to watch television. That's normally the reason I choose digital art over traditional art. And I'll pop the reference on the side there. It's basically 2 little toucans that I found on Pinterest. I thought they were super cute and I wanted to kind of make them a little bit more illustrate-y rather than just copying the picture. So I also had a look at some references for different leaves and things so I could make a nice little composition around them. And then basically what I ended up doing is after I did this one in Procreate, I don't actually look at that reference again. I just look at my picture that I did here from Procreate and I use that as a reference. So a lot of them are quite cartoony. This one is probably the most like the reference that you'll find, even though it is still very cartoony. My process in Procreate is pretty much the same when I'm just doing images like this. I know that I had a video up a couple of weeks ago where I was doing landscapes and that's very different than this. But when I do like these little animals, illustrations, cartoony things, I normally start with a simple sketch and then I go into my favourite brush, which is the 6B pencil. I have tried to get out of this brush and I have tried to use other brushes, but I think it's because I first started using Procreate with this brush and I'm just so used to it and I know how it works and I really like using it. I know that it's also very popular, so I'm sometimes worried that my art is going to look a lot like everyone else's just because we're all using the same brushes. But at the end of the day, I don't really think it's the brush that makes the artwork. I mean, I kind of hope it isn't. So I'm painting all the leaves here. So I'm drawing all the leaves here, these little jungle leaves, which are really fun to draw. And then I'm trying different leaf shapes out and layering them all up. I'm popping all of these leaves on different layers so I can, later on, I can colour them all. I can use the alpha lock in Procreate and colour them all differently. And also it's just a little bit easier to see. And then sometimes I actually draw with a different colour so I can see that a lot more clearly and know where to delete lines. So now comes the colouring portion. I don't think I used any particular colour palette here, just my normal colour palette that I use that are based on my Holbein Acrylic Wash. And I'm just going in and painting all the leaves in. It's pretty simple. I think I tried to stick with lots of greens and blues. And then my idea was to have the birds kind of in darkness, so the leaves were quite dark and then they framed the birds. I'm adding this hot pink in, but it's going to become a shadow. And then I'm adding this other colour in to become a shadow. And I just put it on different blending modes and change the colour and the hue and stuff to see which one I like before adding the highlights in. And then tweaking the birds a little bit, adding some final touches and bits of colour here and there. And I really enjoy doing the outlines in different colours, so I think I do that with the leaves as well. I make some of the back leaves lighter with the outline so they don't stand out as much. Add in more colour as usual, and there we go. I think it's pretty much done now. Oh yeah, I forgot at the end I add this really weird colourful overlay. That's the first one, so that was Procreate. Now I'm actually moving on to my marker sketchbook, which I normally would never use, but I made the sketchbook probably about a month ago and it's made with render no bleed marker paper and it's amazing. It really doesn't bleed through to the other side, it's magic. So I decided to keep this one quite simple because the pages are small, they're only A5. So I popped the little toucans in a circle, did a quick sketch, and then I went through all of my colours. I was going to try and use a limited colour palette, but unfortunately limited isn't in my vocabulary. So I end up using pretty much all of the Copic markers. And I stick to the Procreate colours, I believe. So pretty much following along, but just doing it in markers instead. So the thing about markers and me is that I don't really use them much, so I don't blend them or anything. I just kind of keep them as solid blocks of colour, and then I'll do a little bit of shadowing here and there, but that's not blended either. So I know that this is probably not the right way to use markers, or I don't know if it is the right way to use markers, but this is just how I use them. And I don't know if I would like to use them more. Like I'll probably definitely fill out the sketchbook just with doodles and stuff, but it's not really a medium that I really want to improve on. Like, I'm not really worried if I never improve on them, if I never spend much time using them, and if I just use them here and there for doodles, because I would rather get better at colored pencil and paint, which is what I'm really like passionate about. Like, I really love using paint and colored pencil and things, rather than trying to get better at a new medium, which is one of the reasons why I stopped using watercolor. I was using watercolor a lot, and then the start of 2020 I actually have a video called Goodbye Watercolor, and it's like my last watercolor sketchbook that I filled out, and I decided not to do watercolor this year, and I haven't missed it at all. I've done so much acrylic wash stuff, and I've learned so much about it. So sometimes, even though this video is called 1 image 5 mediums, and I'm like, yeah, use all the mediums, sometimes don't, like, it's better just to stick to a couple and just become good at them, like, if that's what you want to do. So I'm just trying to say, if you feel pressured to learn everything and know everything, don't be, because it doesn't really matter. Like, just do what you like doing. And that's what I'm doing here with the pencils, because even though this is a marker one, I have no idea how to outline in markers. Like, they would just bleed in, I wouldn't get a thin enough line. So I decided to get my trusty old colour pencils out and just use that for an outline, which I think is fine. That's not cheating, is it? So this one out of all of them I probably think is the most childish, like the most cartoony. I think probably because it's so bright and colourful and quite blocky. So yeah, let me know if you like this one. I mean, I don't dislike it, it's just different. So I decided to go in and colour the background in. I don't know why I decided to do this. It doesn't look too bad in the end, but I don't know if I should just left it and put like a nice outline on that circle. But hey, it's done now, can't take it back. So that is the finished marker image. And next up we have coloured pencils. So I decided to do an entire spread with this just so I could make the image really big. And I popped it across 2 pages. Instead of having all the leaves kind of encompassing the toucans, I decided to have the leaves just at the bottom and the top, and then keep the rest of the page quite open. So I think I stick to the colours that I used for the last 2 pretty well, although I did lighten the toucans a bit, and I think what I was trying to go with was almost monochrome. So I think I wanted to have the birds blue and the background like pink and purple, but I kind of messed it up a little bit because I do include quite a lot of yellow and orange in the birds, and I definitely think you'll see later on, but I decided to do the background like pink and purple, and I don't think it really goes well with the toucans. But there's all practicing, and I really do want to get better at coloured pencil and kind of figure out how I want to use them. So the more I practice, the better I'll get. Or maybe not better, but the closer I'll get to what I imagine I want to do. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't quite know where I want to go yet. Like, do I want to do just colour pencils? Do I want to do mixed media, which is what I've basically been doing recently? Who knows? It's a mystery. Just got to keep on experimenting and finding out what you like. So here I'm bringing in some more oranges, and if I just kept it with blues and pinks, I think it would have been okay, but I think I just, there's a lot of colours that kind of go together at the end. And I actually also like it just white like this, but then I think, no, April, let's add a background. Challenge ourselves. So I decided to add a background, and I kind of went in with a couple of different colours to lay a base. And this was going to be my main background, which was like this dark blue. So I went around and around and around and around and around in circles. Made myself a little bit dizzy, but we got there in the end. And I think the effect is kind of cool, but I don't know. I don't think I'll use it again. Not a massive fan of it. It was actually also interesting to draw the same subject again and again. I did get a little bit bored drawing toucans, but they also became a little bit more characteristic. And there we have it. That is the final of the coloured pencil. So those are the pink flowers that I mentioned earlier. Maybe if I'd had the background pink, it would have been better. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think. Alright, this next one is Acrylic Wash, which you guys would think would be my favourite one out of all of them. And I did enjoy doing this, but actually, this is not my favourite of all 5 of them. I think I was getting a little bit bored of drawing toucans at this point, because I think I did 3 in one day. And I didn't really know what I was going to do. I thought I would just kind of go like free ball it, is that an expression, freeball, and just kind of go crazy with the paint and just like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm an artist. I can paint, and just kind of like not plan anything out. So I do make a few mistakes that I cover up in the end, but we'll see that later on. So you can't really see the toucans, they kind of blend into the background. I use that, so like leaf green is the colour. And I'm adding lots of different colours here for the leaves. I guess I'm thinking they're like flowers or petals that are falling down. And yeah, now I'm just painting the birds. So I think with the birds I decided to go a little bit lighter with this one, rather than having that dark blue, which I actually do have. I mixed up a kind of purpley ash blue. So it was the lavender with the ash blue of the Holbein Acrylic Wash. So it's quite nice and muted rather than harsh. I do quite like how the leaves here are all pointing in towards the birds. I think if I had left it with that one branch coming across, it would have been a lot better. But I decided to put in these big fat leaves with the dark blue. And I'm getting very messy with my paintbrush, so they're kind of not really leaf shapes, they're just blobs. And when this dries, I really don't like it, so I go over it with a lighter colour. I just keep adding, I'm just like, maybe if I add more it'll be better, but it doesn't get any better. So here I am with some green, I think that's ash green, I think, coming in, trying to cover up the leaves. And I know at this point it's going to be fine because I'm going to go over with coloured pencil, I think. I can't remember if I go over with coloured pencil with this, but I figured it would be fine. Like, normally when I have a painting, if I do a mistake in a painting and I cover it up, or I try and go over it, or I try and fix it, I'm never like really beating myself up that much, because I know that it'll be fine. I don't know, maybe I'm just too positive for my own good, but I'm always like, this'll be fine. What could go wrong? So yeah, I actually think I do go in with a paintbrush. Yeah, I don't use coloured pencil for this one. What? So I'm going in with my sweet paintbrush skills there. Joking, not really. I really wish I had a better hand at painting like this. Like, I wish I could go thinner. But I do my best. Do the best I can. I do like how this one turned out, though. It is very colourful and very happy. Like, I like it, like, when you compare it to the coloured pencil one earlier, this one feels a lot happier and brighter. Probably because that leaf green is just so bright. And if all else fails, just add lots and lots of blobs of colour, so it looks like it was meant, you know, the chaos was meant to be there all along. And that is the finished acrylic wash, the finished acrylic wash painting. So we only have one more to go, and this last one is a very short one. So this last one, I couldn't decide whether I wanted to do watercolour, bring back the watercolour, or something crazy like pastels, which I don't actually own, so that would have been really crazy. But I decided in the end to go with the old classic ink. So I haven't used ink probably for 2 years, since I did my Belle and Bear Inktober. And so I cracked out the ink. I got the Winsor & Newton black ink. I believe this is Winsor & Newton. And I also have the Winsor & Newton gold ink. So I wanted to keep this one super simple, very graphical. And I basically just go in with the black. I keep it black and white with gold. And this one is actually probably my favourite one. It's probably my favourite one because it was so low effort. It didn't take long at all, and it was really fun to do. And I also got to use gold ink, which I never do, and it is really nice to use gold ink. And while I did enjoy doing this, I didn't enjoy it enough to think, oh, I'm going to do lots of ink paintings from now on. Like, I didn't enjoy it that much, you know. But it was nice to do because it was a change. But I don't see myself becoming an ink artist, because I just love my colour too much. I know you can get coloured inks too. I actually have so many coloured inks, but for me it's the same as like watercolour. I just kind of put them in the same category. And I did find this exercise really helpful to draw the same subject, because you didn't have to think about what you were going to draw. You just thought about the mediums and how you were going to use it. So if you haven't tried this, definitely give it a go. And if you have tried it, let me know. And if you could pick any 3 mediums to try this in, what are those 3 mediums? what would they be? I think my favourite for me would probably have to be Procreate, the coloured pencils, and the acrylic wash. I don't think that was a surprise for anyone. So now I'm finally going in with the gold ink. This ink has been sitting still for 2 years, hasn't been shaken or shooken or anything. So man, did I have to shake it and stir it probably for about 10 minutes before it was finally gold enough. And here it's still watery, you can tell. And I'm flicking between different paintbrushes. I have this new paintbrush, which is actually a watercolor paintbrush I got ages ago, and I have never used it. It's very soft, so it you have to be careful because it can splay out quite a lot. And I'm also flicking between this other little paintbrush here. And I think I have to go over this gold and once more. So I do this one, and then I have to fix up all the patches where it was a little bit watery. The problem also with this paper is that it's quite thin. It is, I think it's just like very basic W.H. Smith's watercolor paper, so it does buckle a bit. But this is the final. I left the little tree there white so it goes into the background, and I really love how this looks. That is the end of the video. I hope that you enjoyed seeing all of those different mediums and hearing me talk about each one and a little bit about the process. Let us know below which your favourite was, and if you would try this or have tried this, what medium you would try in. That would be really fun to see what different types of mediums you guys like, because I'm sure I've missed out a lot, like printmaking, collaging, pastels, things like that. So that is all for me today. I hope that you guys have a lovely week, and I will catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.